Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jai Hind, and welcome to Khan Global Studies. I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. So I hope I am properly audible and visible to all of you. Okay, so good evening and welcome to the session. Now, in the last week, we have talked about a number of things, like we have discussed about BRICS also, we have discussed about Quad also, we have discussed about other international organizations, we have talked about some of the news with respect to India also as well as world as well. So we have discussed multiple topics in the last week. Now today we are starting with some topics, like the first topic which we are going to talk about is the BRICS summit outcomes. The BRICS summit outcomes, like what has been decided there, what has been India's statement at BRICS summit, we will talk about this. So then second topic which we are going to talk about is about indigenous atomic reactor. Okay. So this is one section which is related to IR. The second topic is related to science and tech. The third is also related to science and tech plus environment. It is about the plant treaty. Okay. It is part of the intellectual property rights. Okay. So you can count it as part of science also, but somewhat it has impact on environment as well. Then we have this new, sorry, the wrong part here. I have changed it, but it could not be changed. We are going to discuss this one editorial, which is going to be about this Indian diplomacy. This one editorial with respect to the Indian diplomacy. And there is another editorial which is going to be, another editorial which is going to be about Pakistan, China collusion. Pakistan, China collusion. So these are the articles. These are also related to your IR section. So we are going to discuss these topics in today's session: IR, science and tech, and other related topics. Okay. So I hope that is like clear to you. I hope you have gone through the questions of the previous session. Good evening. Now, so let's start with our session today. Let's start with the topics which we have to discuss in today's session. Okay. So first one is about BRICS summit outcomes, but first let us see some questions also. We have discussed about this Defense Acquisition Council in the last session. So there is this one question. The Defense Acquisition Council headed by Prime Minister approves defense acquisition in India. India is the second largest weapon importer of the world between 2020 to 24. So which of the statements are correct? Which of the statements are correct here? The Defense Acquisition Council headed by PM approves defense acquisition in India. India is the second largest weapon importer of the world between 2020 to 24. We have discussed this one topic in the last session about this defense acquisition and all. In that context itself, we have this one question. Okay, C option, A option, B option. Okay. Anyone with D option? D for Dehradun, where we have intense amount of rainfall. So if we look at this, the first one is saying the Defense Acquisition Council headed by Prime Minister. No, this is headed by Defense Minister. Try to recall this. This is headed by Defense Minister, not the Prime Minister. India is the second largest weapon importer of the world between 2020 to 24. This is as per the latest SIPRI report. As per the latest SIPRI report, India stands at the second number. Okay. So Ukraine is the first one. India is at the second number. Okay. So India is the second largest importer of weapon in 2020-24 period. So here the answer is going to be option number B, that is 2 only. Okay. So here the answer is B option. Now we have this one question. Endocrine disruptors are often linked to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. Microplastics are considered as biologically active pollutants. Microplastics are considered as biologically active pollutants. So tell me. C option, okay. C or B? B option and C option. Okay. Here in this question, if we look at this, first one is saying endocrine disruptors are often linked to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. So that is true. We have seen that endocrine disruptors are basically those chemicals which disrupt our hormonal system. If our hormonal system is disrupted, then it can cause obesity, it can cause cardiovascular diseases, it can even cause cancer-like situation. So first option is correct. Second is microplastics are considered as biologically active pollutant. So that is in fact correct. Now we see that microplastics are present inside our body. They are persisting inside our body. So they are biologically active pollutants. So here both of them are correct. So C option is correct here, both 1 and 2. Now third question, any registered political party in India must declare allegiance to the Constitution of India, sovereignty, democracy, and secularism. Any registered political party in India are not bound by income tax and foreign contribution laws. So this is the second question, that any registered political parties in India must declare allegiance to the Constitution of India, sovereignty, democracy, and secularism. Any registered party in India are not bound by income tax and foreign contribution laws. So it is asking which of them are not correct. Allegiance means they have to show this they are going with it, they are aligning with it, they are going to accept it. Acceptance. Okay. That yes, we accept it, we support it. A option, D option, D option. See, first is saying any registered political party in India must declare, so that one is correct. Now, second is saying any registered political party in India are not bound by income tax and foreign contribution law. How they will not be bound by the foreign contribution law? They have to be bounded by it. They have to obey the foreign contribution laws. Okay. It cannot be that they are bound by it. They are getting some income tax exemption, but everyone is bound by the income tax law. And for foreign contribution law, they are definitely bound by it. Okay. So this is second option, which is incorrect. So here the answer is going to be B option, that is 2 only. So here the answer is B option, that is 2 only. Now, so these were the questions on the basis of the topics which we have studied in the previous sessions. Okay. Now we are coming to the topics, but before we go into that, there is this one announcement for you. We have our UPSC Pre Plus Mains Foundation batches for 2026 in English and Hindi medium. Okay. So there I will be taking the classes of environment and science tech in English medium. Okay. In Hindi medium, only science and tech. Okay. Now, we have this optional batches also in the English medium in Karol Bagh. we have Vivek Bhardwaj sir, Gautam sir, Sivesh sir, and Dhruv sir with their optionals. Yeah. Then at the same time, we have this UPSC mains test series for 2025, those who are preparing for 25. Yeah. And we have this Adhyan batch also, again from my side, for current affairs of 2026. Yeah. So these are the ongoing batches which we have with respect to Khan Global Studies. Yeah. Now, coming to our topic with respect to BRICS summit outcomes. Okay. So India has attended the meeting of BRICS summit, and now like India has made several statements at this BRICS. We have already discussed about this one part. We have already discussed this one part, that who all are members of BRICS and not. Okay. But at this summit, we will try to see that what has been said, like what outcomes have been there. So first thing is, the first target was global institutions. The first target was global institutions. So India has, and even BRICS has said that the global institutions are not reflecting today's reality. Like Africa is not represented in United Nations Security Council. India is not represented in United Nations Security Council. G7, which says that we are the great 7 economies of the world, doesn't consist of China and India, the largest economies of the world. Okay. So what we see that global institutions do not reflect the realities of present times. So there was first target on this global institution. Okay. So there was a proper statement which was said that 2/3 of humanity with no representation in global institution. So we have this one thing, 2/3 of humanity have no such representation in the global institution. Look at South America, look at Africa, look at India. So this reflects the 2/3 of the world with no such representation in the global institution. Okay. At the same time, even in the major decision-making forums, what we see that there is no such representation of key economic players. Okay. So what we see that the third part, no representation of key economies. No representation of key economies in global decision-making bodies. Global decision-making bodies. For example, if we look at IMF, we have already seen about this body. IMF is giving a very minuscule quota to India as well as China. The major quotas is with those countries of the world which are not even major economic players in the present times. And in the future, they are definitely not the major economic players. Despite that part, they have the major role in decision making. So that is one part. Second demand related to this only, that more representation for global south. More representation for global south. Let me tell you one story. Okay. Let me tell you one story. Like when we talk about India, just to give you one idea, in 2015-16, there was a debate which was going on, like not only in India, but at global level. The debate was this, that now the non-alignment movement is dead. Now the non-alignment movement is dead because India and other major players have made various alliances with various blocks of the world. So that non-alignment movement or the South-South movement, the South-South cooperation is gone. But what we see that in the recent times, in the last 2-3 years, there has been an increased focus by India on global South-South cooperation. Think about this, at BRICS summit, India have not talked about US, India has not talked about other countries. India has demanded greater representation of global South. Okay. So this is one thing, like there has been demand of this. The third most important part is with respect to terrorism. The third most important part is terrorism. Okay. So there has been again the same thing, strong condemnation. So there has been a strong condemnation by BRICS of Pahalgam terror attack. Okay. So in case of SCO, we have seen that there has not been so much discussion over this, but in BRICS summit, there has been condemnation of this Pahalgam terror attack. There has also been discussion on combating cross-border terrorism. Okay. So it has also talked about combating cross-border terrorism. So that is also one thing which has been highlighted at this part. Okay. So overall, this BRICS summit has been on these three parts. Plus, on the sidelines of it, there have also been discussion about expansion and evolution of BRICS. We have already seen that Indonesia is now a member. We have seen that United Arab Emirates is a member. We have seen Egypt is a member. Ethiopia is a member. These countries have become part of it. Now, there have been some partner countries. There is a new thing, BRICS partner countries. There is a new thing called as BRICS partner countries. And in these BRICS partner countries, we have seen a number of countries coming forward. Like we have Belarus is there, Bolivia is there, Kazakhstan is there, Cuba is there, Nigeria is there. So many other countries have become part of this BRICS partner countries. So we have from Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Bolivia, and many others. They have all become parts of BRICS partner countries. In upcoming times, what we will see that this may evolve into a much more larger group. So that is also one part. It has even condemned US and Israel as strikes on Iran. Okay. So there is another part, condemnation of US-Israel attacks on Iran. So BRICS has said this, BRICS members have said this, that this attack on Iran is violation of international law. Okay. So you can see that now this is becoming a direct counter to US-led groups. Now BRICS is evolving as a direct counter also to US-led groups. That's why US is so much worried about BRICS evolution. So this is directly like even giving condemnation for US-Israel attacks on it. Okay. So there has been one more thing. There has been support from Russia and China for India's membership to various global platforms. In fact, they have somewhat agreed that Brazil and India can become part of United Nations Security Council. So this is not yet like very much a strong commitment, but there is a chance that China may go for this. China may agree on this India's membership of United Nations Security Council. So if these things develop, maybe in the future, the entry of India in UNSC, United Nations Security Council, may become quite easier. So it's not like very much definite, but there is a chance. There is a chance that it may take place. So that is one part. They have supported India's and Brazil's entry into United Nations Security Council. So major focus, if we recall it once again, major focus have been on global governance reform, more representation to global south, against terrorism, against US strikes on Israel and US and Israel attacks on Iran, and at the same time it is about expansion and evolution of BRICS. So these 5 major outcomes have been there of the BRICS summit. Okay. The one which is in building phase is that now there is support from Russia and China for India's and Brazil membership to United Nations Security Council. So there is a hope that in future, if we are having regular meetings of BRICS and there is discussion on this part, then it may happen that India's entry to UNSC will be possible in years to come. So I hope that is clear. That what has been the major outcomes of the BRICS summit. Any doubt in this? Okay. So this is our first topic about BRICS summit outcomes. Now we are coming to the next topic, which is about heavy water reactor. Okay. So what we have seen that the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, it has granted this authority, this license to Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited to operate 2 such nuclear power plants of capacity 700 megawatt each. Okay. So we have got that this is in fact the first, okay, it has first such indigenous nuclear power reactor in India. Okay. So we see that there is this Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. So this one has given approval, or you can say license. License to whom? License has been provided to this Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. What is the license for? License is for operating 2 pressurized heavy water reactors, okay, at Kakrapar. So this is one part. In Kakrapar in Gujarat, these 2 pressurized heavy water reactors are going to be operated now by the NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. So here in this case we have to discuss about 3 things. First, what is pressurized heavy water reactor? Second thing, what is the role of Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited? Third thing, what is the role of Atomic Energy Regulatory Board? So we are going to discuss these 3 things. First of all, pressurized heavy water reactor, PHWR, pressurized heavy water reactor. So when we talk about this pressurized heavy water reactor, this is a nuclear reactor. Okay. This is a nuclear reactor. Now in any nuclear reactor, there is use of one thing called as coolant. There is use of another thing called as moderator. There is use of this like coolant as well as moderator. So in this case, in the use of coolant as well as moderator, we are using heavy water, D2O, deuterium oxide. Okay. So here in both cases we are using D2O, that is heavy water. I think the work of coolant is quite clear. Coolant is something which will cool down the nuclear power plant, which will reduce the heat, which will transfer the heat. That is our coolant. The coolant is responsible for transferring the heat. When the nuclear power installation gets heated, it takes the heat energy from there. It uses the heat energy to convert the water into a steam, and that steam will run the turbine. That turbine will generate electricity. Okay. So the use of coolant is to transfer energy. Transfer energy. That is the use of coolant. Now, you all may be aware about this one thing, that when we talk about radioactive substances, they have a chain reaction. Like for example, uranium. Once there is disintegration or once there is radioactivity in uranium, it will not stop. It have a chain reaction. So there is a need of regulating it. There is a need of slowing it down, not to stop it, but to slow it down. So in order to slow down the reaction, we have one thing called as moderator. So this moderator slows down the reaction by slowing down neutrons. So this is not stopping it. For stopping, we have another thing called as control rod. Control rod will stop the reaction. Control rod will stop the reaction. The moderator will only slow down the neutrons. So that reaction is in a small, reaction is in a slow manner. That there is no intense amount of nuclear activity. It is a slow nuclear activity which can generate sufficient amount of energy, and we can also use it. Okay. So that is our pressurized heavy water reactor. Okay. Generally, we use uranium-238. Uranium-238 is general fuel which is used in pressurized heavy water reactor. Okay. Now, there is another part. There is one thing called as Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. In last slide, we have discussed about this, that it has given the license. Okay. So we have this Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Okay. Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. So this has been established. This has been established in 1983. In 1983. And it is the primary nuclear regulator in India. Okay. This is the primary nuclear regulator. So this is the primary nuclear regulator. Okay. This is responsible for ensures safety of nuclear power plants. It has the duty to ensure the safety. It approves the design, operation, and licensing. Okay. So it is approving. It approves design, operation, and licensing. Okay. So that is the role of this Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. And in case of India, remember one thing, it is independent body. It doesn't come under Department of Atomic Agency. Okay. So it is independent of Department of Atomic Agency. That's why it is a regulator. It is not under the Department of Atomic Energy. It is an independent body. And then we have the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, which is responsible for design, construction, and operation of nuclear power plant. So we have the next one, that is NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. This is responsible for design, construction, and operation of nuclear power plants. Okay. So this one is responsible for all these things. It is responsible for the design, construction, as well as operation of nuclear power plants in India. This is the one and only institution in India which can have nuclear power plants, because in India, private sector is still not allowed to operate. In the small nuclear reactors, they may participate in the future. Government has come with this policy that in the SMR section, in the small modular reactor or in Bharat small reactors, we may have participation of private sector. But right now, throughout the country, there is only one operator, that is Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. So this is the only operator of these nuclear power plants in India. Okay. Now tell me one thing. There is a word that a nuclear power plant has achieved criticality. Okay. If you are getting a word that a nuclear power plant became critical or achieved criticality. So what is the meaning of it? If there is a news article like this, that a nuclear power plant has become critical or it has achieved criticality, so what is the meaning of it? Any idea about this? What is the meaning of this? If a nuclear power plant has achieved criticality, what is the meaning of it? Any idea? If it is written somewhere that a nuclear power plant has achieved criticality, so what will be the meaning of it? Necessity. Anything else? If a nuclear power plant has become critical or achieved criticality, it means this has become functional. It has become functional. Okay. So if it has become critical, if it has achieved criticality, so that is not a bad thing. In case of nuclear power plant, if a power plant is achieving criticality, it means now it is functional, now it is working. So that is criticality. Okay. So a question may be framed on this side. Okay. A question may be framed on this part, that if a nuclear power plant achieved criticality, what is the meaning of that? Okay. It means it has become operational, it has become active. Okay. It has been able to generate sustained chain reaction. Okay. Now it is working. That is the meaning of criticality. Okay. So now we are coming to the next part. Now there is this one thing. There is this one part that there is a thing called as plant treaty. So this plant treaty, it has been provided by Food and Agricultural Organization. Okay. This was provided by Food and Agricultural Organization. In 2002, India has also ratified it, and this has become functional and this has been in force since 2004. Okay. So there is International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. So this is also called as, like this one is also known as the plant treaty. Now, if we talk about this one, like it has been adopted by Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO. FAO is basically a special agency of United Nations. Remember one thing, FAO is a special agency of United Nations. Okay. So this one is related to United Nations. So this has adopted this plant treaty. Even India, if we talk about this, India, we have ratified it. We have ratified in 2002. This has been enforced from 2004. So that is the background, that there is a plant genetic resources treaty with respect to food and agriculture. This is an international treaty on plant genetic resources for food and agriculture. Okay. Now the question is, why we have this treaty? What is the objective? What is the purpose? Okay. So let us see this one part, that what is the purpose of the treaty? Why we are having this? The purpose. What is the purpose of the treaty? This treaty, like every other treaty, it will talk about conservation of plant genetic resources. It is saying about plant genetic resources, conservation of them. It is also talking about facilitating access to these resources for research, breeding and training. Okay. Facilitating access to these resources for research, breeding and even training. So first of all, it has said that it will protect the plant species of the world. Second thing, there will also be access to these genetic resources. The researchers all over the world, they will have access to these. The third important part is, like suppose, let me give you an example. Let's say the researchers, the scientists have identified a special variety of paddy in India, the one which is tolerant to drought condition. So now they can research upon that plant, and using that research, they can create new hybrids. So when they are going to create new hybrids, they will get huge amount of profit. So this treaty says that there will be a fair and equitable sharing of benefit. Okay. So there is going to be also fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from genetic resources. Arising from genetic resources. So that is also one part. And overall, there is one aim, that the entire work should be for food security and sustainable agriculture. Okay. So one more aim is food security plus sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture. So that is about the treaty. That is about the treaty. We have seen that there is a plant treaty, and it is with respect to this purpose. We have seen what is the purpose. Now, why we are like reading this treaty? In this treaty, there is a list. There is a list, and it is a list of the crops. Okay. List of the crops. So this is one thing. Under this, there is a list of crops. Around 64 crops are there. Okay. This is there in Annex 1. This is there in Annex 1. So there is a list of 64 crops for benefit sharing, for like of course access and benefit sharing. Now recently the FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization, has proposed to include more and more crop under this Annex 1. Okay. It says that there must be more and more sharing of the seed plant materials by other countries. Initially there was this national flexibility. Okay. Initially there was like this national flexibility that some countries, if they want to share their resources, if they want to share their plants resources, they can do it. But if they don't want to do it, they can refuse. But now what is said, there is a new amendment. There is a new amendment. New amendment which says that more crops under Annex 1 plus mandatory sharing. Mandatory sharing, no national flexibility. So there is a treaty which is being amended, the plant treaty, and it says that more and more plants should be shared under this. There should not be any more flexibility. Okay. So now the thing is like why there is a concern. Okay. Why there is a concern in any country. If we look at this, and especially if we talk about India, in case of India, we already have huge challenge in agriculture. Our productivity is on the lower side. Our input cost is higher. Agricultural contribution to GDP is on the lower side. Income from agriculture has become stagnant. Now, in this case, what is one thing which we are having? We are having some of those plant varieties which are unique to India. There are certain plant varieties which are unique to India. And if we share more and more crops under this Annex 1, so other countries can also grow this. They can have higher productivity also. So in that case, what will be the benefit for us? Even that one thing which we have with us, that one unique crops which we have with us, they will also be gone, they will also be shared. There are many countries in the world, especially the southern countries, the global south. Their main export item is agricultural items. If they even share their genetic resources, what are they going to get? What else is left with them? So that is one thing which is harming the farmers' right. Second thing, how can a treaty undermine the national sovereignty? How can a treaty undermine this national sovereignty? So that is the second part. Third part is the seed, like the control over the seed. Okay. So if we have something which is endemic to India, so why we are being forced to share it with the world? They also have some technologies which can help in having clean energy, having clean water. Are they sharing it? So there is again this one problem. They are asking for all the genetic sources, all the genetic resources. But when it comes to their technology transfer, they have this problem that no technology transfer. But they want the genetic resources. So this is one part. That first, it is detrimental to farmer, it is detrimental to the seed, like the control over the seeds. Third part, it is having legal inconsistency. No legal treaty, no treaties of the world can force countries to do anything. So that is one of the challenge. That is one of the challenge. Like in most of the cases, it is suggestive. In most of the cases, it is suggestive that you have to do this. But here it is putting a like obligation that you must do it. So that is one challenge with this plant treaty. Okay. So that is our third topic. Okay. So I hope this is one thing about the plant treaty. Okay. Why it is being opposed, what are the challenges. Now, coming to this editorial, coming to this one editorial. Okay. So this is one part. We have got a editorial with respect to India's diplomacy. Okay. It has been said that many a times it has been said that India is mute, or India is not taking a stand on many global issues. Like you may have seen this, that when Ukraine crisis was going on, when Russia-Ukraine crisis, which is still going on, in fact, yeah. So when this Russia-Ukraine crisis was going on, the entire European countries, the entire Western world was saying that India must like oppose Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Then when Israel and Iran conflict is going, again there is a demand that India must come against terrorism. Just a few months ago, in the month of May, when India was taking action against the terrorism, the same country, the same group of countries have said to India that India must restrain, India must exercise restraint. So there is a double there is a double face of geopolitics of the world. Many a times it has been said that India's geopolitics, or India's diplomacy is mute, or India's diplomacy is not taking a stand on global issues. So this editorial is saying that it's not like that. Okay. It has said that India's response was measured, okay, and diplomatic. Okay. So we have seen that we have a measured diplomacy. Okay. For any country, the diplomacy is about the national interest. So it says that, like what India has done, India has called for, in the case of Israel or even in case of Ukraine, what has been India's position? India has always talked about restraint and de-escalation. India has talked about restraint and de-escalation. In the both cases, India has talked about restraint and de-escalation. India has emphasized humanitarian crisis. Okay. India has said that this humanitarian crisis which is going on, okay, that should be given the primacy. India has even voted in favor of ceasefire in Gaza. Okay. Voted in favor of ceasefire in Gaza. Ceasefire in Gaza. In case of United Nations General Assembly. What we have seen that India during these times, what we have seen that India has focused primarily on evacuation of citizens who might get impacted. India has helped in evacuation of its own citizens plus citizens of other countries from the war zones. Okay. So India has focused on evacuation of its citizens as well as others during conflicts. So India has been doing these things. Okay. So now this article is suggesting that our strategic silence is not our weakness. Our strategic silence is our strength. Okay. So this article is suggesting that this strategic silence is basically our strength. It is not our weakness, it is our strength. Okay. Like, we are speaking when it is needed. We have to balance defense ties with Israel, energy ties with Iran, and manage the Gulf diaspora. So when we talk about Iran and Israel crisis, when we are talking about Iran-Israel crisis, so what we see that in case of Israel and Israel crisis, we are making a balance between defense ties with Israel, energy security with Iran, and diaspora in Gulf. So we are ensuring a balance between all these three. When even this Israel and Iran conflict is going on, it's not that we are totally silent, we are away from this. We are working in that. But our working cannot be dictated by Europe. We have to decide our own part. Okay. So we have been working in a national interest. Okay. So we have seen this one part. At the same time, we have looked at the Western double standard. So we have already seen it in the case of Pahalgam terrorist attack. In the case of Pahalgam terrorist attack, we have seen the double standard of Western media and Western powers. We have also seen it in the case of Ukraine. We have discussed it not one time but several times that West countries, the Western countries, they have created the chaos in Ukraine. They are the one responsible for Ukraine crisis. Okay. So in case of Ukraine crisis also, it is the Western world which is at the question here, which should be questioned here. So first they have said that, okay, let's invite Ukraine to our NATO meeting. And when Ukraine came to the NATO meeting, it was not even given the seat. And when it was returning back, Russia just attacked on it. Okay. So this Russia and Ukraine crisis has been caused due to the involvement of Western countries. Now, we have already talked about this. I think when we were talking about the Black Sea in the last week, I have explained it to you. Why Russia was attacking Ukraine. We have seen the NATO members. If you recall, we have discussed about the NATO members. I have shown it to you. In case of Black Sea, we have 6 countries: Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania. Then we have also Georgia. Okay. Then we have this Russia and Turkey. Turkey is a member of this NATO. Romania is there. Then we have Bulgaria there. Then we have even this Ukraine is also trying to be. Romania is trying to be. Okay. Georgia is there. So most of the countries who are surrounding the Black Sea, they were members of this NATO. So now there was this attempt that they can have Ukraine also. Now they didn't take Ukraine as part of NATO, but they led to the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So that is the double standard of Western world. Okay. So this is one editorial which was discussing about this this Indian diplomacy, that how Indian diplomacy is not about muteness, it is about diplomacy with clarity, not noise. Yeah. So in fact, it is a diplomacy with clarity, not the noise part. So that is our 4th article, Indian diplomacy. Yeah. Now, coming to the last portion, we have this another article on China-Pakistan collusion. we have this another article with respect to China-Pakistan collusion. So you may have seen this one news that recently when the Indian Defense Forces were having these various meetings or press briefings and all. So there is Lieutenant General Raju K. Singh. He has been Deputy Chief of Army Staff. So he has said that China was directly involved. China was directly involved in the battlefield in case of Operation Sindoor. Okay. So what we have seen that for the first time there is direct involvement. There is this direct involvement of China. Direct involvement of China during Operation Sindoor. Now see, earlier we were having a proposition that war with Pakistan can lead to a two-front war. Okay. That if we are having a war with Pakistan, it can lead to two-front war. Okay. Let's suppose if we are attacking on Pakistan, Pak-India conflict, this can lead to Indo-China conflict. Or if there is Indo-China conflict, it can lead to Indo-Pak conflict. So there was this one thing that if India is having a conflict with that of Pakistan, then there is a challenge, there is a chance that this conflict may also take place on the northern border with China. Or if we are having a conflict with China, at the same time, Pakistan can also jump into that conflict. So that was one thing called as two-front war, that India can face a two-front war. But now what we see that now we have got this one front reinforced war. Now this has changed to one front reinforced war. So now it has become one front reinforced war. So traditional concept is gone. Okay. So now what we see that if there is a conflict with Pakistan, there is going to be open or direct involvement of China. So there is going to be a direct involvement of China. So this time when we were having Operation Sindoor, we have already seen that. Okay. So this is one thing, like now they have combined this. Like during this time, during this Operation Sindoor, there was multiple attacks by China in form of cyber attacks, in form of misinformation, in form of space warfare, in case of civil military fusion. So we see that during this Operation Sindoor, multiple things was going on from China, especially misinformation and cyber attack. They were at the top. So now this is one part. Like in this case, India needs to revisit its policy. There is a requirement of revisiting our security policy. Okay. So in this context, we need to revisit our security policy. First of all, now we have to realize that a war with Pakistan is not a war with Pakistan. It is in fact a war with China. So any conflict with Pakistan is not only a conflict with Pakistan, it is also a conflict with China. And if it is so, then we have to work on defense budget. The first thing which we have to work on, defense budget. Even now, our defense budget is less than 2% of the GDP. Okay. Our defense budget is less than 2% of our GDP. We need to enhance that. We need to enhance that. Second thing, we need to develop indigenous. We need to develop indigenous state of art weapons. We need to develop these indigenous state of art weapons. Third part, we have to work on electronic warfare. We have to also enhance like this defense, air defense capability. We have to enhance this air defense capability. We have to enhance the air defense capability. We have to also, now at the same time, we cannot leave China out of the game. So we also have to ensure that while we are doing this, we need to balance our relation with China. Now with Pakistan, what policy we have adopted? With Pakistan, we have a policy that no trade with terrorism. We have a policy of no trade with terrorism. So now if China is supporting Pakistan in its terrorist agendas, we need to evolve, or we need to balance our policy with China also in that manner. Okay. So we also need to balance our policy, balancing policy with respect to China in wake of Pak-China collusion. That if China is supporting Pakistan, so we need to have a new policy for how to deal with China. Okay. So this is also one part. We cannot have trade with China if they are like supporting Pakistan in its terrorist goals. So that is also one part. We need to balance policy with respect to China. And at the same time, we also need to ensure that we have international collaborations. We need to have strong, time-tested international collaboration for defense. Okay. We need to have strong, time-tested international defense collaboration. So this is also the need of our, okay, that what can be our way forward in this scenario. Okay. So I hope this one part is clear. I hope this one part is clear, that what is the situation with respect to Pakistan and China collusion. And in that context, what steps can be taken by India in this regard? So I hope that one part is clear. There was initially indirect support. But this time it has been seen that there is a direct involvement of China in case of India-Pakistan conflict. Okay. So it was like operating the drones from there. It was using the surveillance system there. So this time there was direct involvement of China. So when India was fighting with Pakistan this time, it was not fighting with Pakistan. It was in fact fighting with China. Okay. So these were the topics which we have studied for today. Tomorrow again, we will meet at the same time to discuss more topics. Till then, take care and all the best. Any question, any doubt? Any question or any doubt from anyone? Okay. So have a nice evening to all of you. Take care and all the best. Tomorrow we will meet again at the same time to discuss the current affairs. Thank you. Take care.